So August is Women in Translation Month, so I thought it'd be really fun to talk about a bunch of the translated novels by women that I recommend, and then we're also going to talk about some that are on my TBR that I'm yet to get to. We've got quite the stack of books to get through, so we're just going to get straight on into it. Starting with a translated novel that I think everyone should read, that is Minor Detail by Adania Shibli. This is translated by Elizabeth Jaquette, and this is translated from Arabic. So this is told in two different parts. The first part is in 1948, and it follows a soldier who, him and his other soldiers commit a very horrendous crime against a Palestinian woman. And then our second part is told in like a near present day setting, and we follow this woman who is Palestinian who kind of finds out about something that happened in the past, and she gets hooked on this minor detail in history. There's a lot of parallels between these two different parts, and we kind of explore how the things that happened then are still happening today. And this is a very important and powerful and impactful read that I think everyone should pick up. Next, we've got The Vegetarian by Han Kang. This is something I've read years ago now, like getting close to 10 years ago now, I think. This is something I definitely need to reread, but in this we follow a woman who starts having some really odd and obscure dreams, and she decides to go vegetarian because of that, and it's kind of got a very big bad connotation, I guess, within her family. And we look at her husband and how he kind of changes as she is changing and the weird things that happen. I don't remember a lot about this, but it is about her struggle to kind of break free from the violence both outside and within her, and kind of looking at these different things that happen. It's very weird and very impactful as well, and just such an interesting book. But this one is translated from Korean by Deborah Smith. Next, we've got a kind of like horror one. This is 3 different short stories. This is Nails and Eyes by Kaori Fujino, and this one is translated from Japanese by Kendall Heitzman. This is really interesting. Our main story in this is Nails and Eyes, and in this we follow a young girl whose father ends up marrying a new woman who is quite young, and it's kind of looking at their relationship and dynamic. It's kind of told through her diary entries, or kind of written as if she's writing in a journal to a degree. It's very much about like internal thoughts and feelings and kind of the weird stuff that progresses from there, and looking at this weird new mother-daughter dynamic that's kind of been forced upon this young girl. We've also got 2 other short stories in this that are really harrowing and uncomfortable, and it's such a masterpiece and so interesting and different and very just an uncomfortable read all round, but I really enjoyed it. The next one is Winter in Sokcho, which I love this cover, but this is originally written in French by Elisa Chouard-Dusapin. I don't know how to say her name. My French is horrible, but this one is translated by Anissa Abbas Higgins. And this is really interesting as well. This is set in Sokcho, which is a small town in South Korea that is bordering with North Korea. It's a very interesting place, but in this we follow a young woman who is working at this hotel there, and this author and illustrator comes and stays at the hotel and is working on finishing his last ever book. And it follows kind of them as she gives this author a tour around, and their little dynamic and the character that he has been crafting all these years and is finally coming to an end. This is a really beautiful and sweet book, and something that's just really enjoyable. This next one is one I'd say is pretty important to read as well. This book got a lot of hate in Korea. I feel like that's just a reason enough to read this, to be honest, but that is Kim Ji-young, born 1982. This is by Cho Nam-ju and translated from Korean by Jamie Chung. And in this we follow a bunch of different women who are named Kim Ji-young, and we follow them throughout all their different stages of their lives. We've got some girls that are called with that name. We've got some middle-aged women, some women in their 20s, and older women as well. And it's kind of just like all their different experiences and the things that happen to them. This book will make you mad. This is a feminist book, and it's just very well done. I believe there is a movie of this one as well. I've yet to watch it, but if you have watched it, I would love to know your thoughts on it, but this is a very impactful and powerful read as well. The next one is a collection of short stories. These ones are translated from Korean, but the book is Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung. The translator, I don't believe, is a woman. It is Anton Her, and this is a very weird collection. If you are a fan of Sayaka Murata, I think you will really enjoy this, but this is just a very odd collection about different things. One of them, the first one, is about a woman who starts like flushing things down the toilet, like bits of her hair, and I think contact lenses, nail clippings, and this thing kind of grows out of the toilet. It's very obscure. There is some very heavy and messed up short stories in this as well, because so check the content warnings for this one, but the title short story in this is very interesting. It's about this bunny lamp that kind of has this curse on people and the weird things that happened with it. But this is a very interesting and obscure short story, The Collection. The next one is one of my favorite books by one of my favorite authors, and that is Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. If you are looking into getting into Sayaka Murata's work, this should be your starting point because it is the least weird and the most accessible out of her books, I guess. In this, we follow a woman who works at a convenience store. She's been there for quite a while and she's very much content with her way of life, but her friends and family are kind of wishing she would do more and pressuring her to get married and get a full-time job in like an office or something. And it looks a lot about those societal pressures on women and people in Japan, the kind of way that this world works as a machine and she is just a cog in it and doesn't want to be part of that. And she ends up marrying her co-worker into an asexual romance relationship basically, and they just decide to live together so they can pretend to be a happy couple and a happy family. A lot of Sayaka Murata's works do have those kinds of themes of the societal pressures on women and people in Japan, and they kind of do a lot of the times lean into those asexual dynamics and relationships and explore that side of things, which I find really interesting. And this one is just such a good book. I forgot to mention, but this one is translated from Japanese by Janine Tapley Takamori. So yeah. Okay, we've got 2 books to go through and then we'll move on to the ones that are on my TBR, but the next one is Blue Hunger. This is by Viola Di Grado and translated by Jamie Richards. This was originally written in Italian, but in this we follow a woman who ends up moving to Shanghai after her twin's death, and she looks to get this job in this prestigious restaurant, but everything kind of really spirals and changes very quickly from there. She meets this woman and we look at this relationship that blooms between them and how obsessive it is and the hunger that is growing inside these characters. This is very dark at times and messed up, and just a really beautiful examination of grief and the way people deal with that, and also trying to find yourself after losing someone that was your entire other half. This is such a beautiful and interesting read, and if you are looking for some sapphic translated fiction, I highly recommend picking this up. This is not a good depiction of a relationship though. It is about obsession and toxic relationships and dynamics, but it is a really beautiful look at that and is so interesting to glimpse into. The last book is I Who Have Never Known Men. This is by Jacqueline Harpman, and this one is translated from French by Roz Schwartz. And this is a very interesting book. This is one I think I do need to go back and reread. It's something I read interesting and I'm still trying to unpack my feelings of. Okay, I've got 4 more books to talk about that are on my TBR. So the first one is one that is translated from Korean, and this is The Healing Season of Pottery. This is by Yeon So-min and it's translated by Claire Richards. This is one of those kind of cozy translated books that have been very popular. This is one I did try to start reading but just wasn't in the mood for. But in this we follow a woman who has been working as a news writer and she's kind of feeling very burnt out and over it. So she's just quit her job and has kind of been in hibernation in a way for the past few months, and she's been trying to get over everything that happens. She's so fatigued and burnt out from the work she's done. And one day when she goes out, she stumbles across this pottery studio and ends up going back and beginning to craft things with her hands and kind of finds love in creation again and finds herself through being able to use her hands and make stuff. It sounds like a really beautiful book and one I am hoping to get to quite soon. Okay, the next 3 books I have are translated from Japanese. The first one is Breasts and Eggs by Meiko Kawakami. I don't know too much of what this is about. My sister has read this and really recommends it, and I've heard such good things about this one. But this is translated by 2 people from Japanese, by Sam Bett and David Boyd. But like I said, I don't know too much about this. I know it is quite feminist and a lot of people do talk about that, but I feel like this is a book I kind of want to go into blind. On the back of this one, it says, "This is a radical and intimate portrait of contemporary working class womanhood," and Breasts and Eggs recounts the heartbreaking journeys of 3 women in a society where the odds are stacked against them. And that's kind of all I want to know about this. I feel like this is going to be a very impactful read. I've heard amazing things about it. It's just something I am waiting for the right moment to get to. The next one is one I'm actually hoping to read somewhat soon, and this is Butter. This is by Asako Yuzuki. This is, like I said, translated from Japanese, and this one is translated by Polly Barton. This is about a female serial killer in Japan who kind of lures her victims in with comfort and cooks for them and then kills them? I don't really know too much more about that. And then another character that we follow in this is a journalist who ends up going in and interviewing this woman. I believe they start off talking about food, but it kind of spirals from there. I have heard very mixed things about this one, but from what I've heard, it kind of seems like people got a very much wrong impression on that, which is why I'm trying not to read too much more into this, because I want to go into it with an open mind, an open heart, and just see where it takes me. It seems like a really interesting book and a very unique look at this kind of dynamic. So I'm very intrigued to see what this is like. The final book is the newest one I've actually got, and this is Hunchback. This is by Sao Ichikawa, and this is translated by Polly Barton as well, the same translator as Butter. But this is I believe, a relatively newer book. It's blurbed by Sayaka Murata, which is one of the main reasons I did pick it up, and the cover is very interesting as well. The author of this, actually, it says, is the first physically disabled author to win Japan's most prestigious literary award and acclaimed instantly as one of the most important Japanese novels of the 21st century. But in this, we follow a woman who has been born with a congenital muscle disorder and has like severe spine curvature and uses an electric wheelchair and ventilator. And she has this hobby that kind of gets her through everything, where she's writing this really full-on erotica, from what it sounds like. And no one really knows that that's what she does until this one carer she has, he kind of reveals that he has read her work, and she propositions him with something that she expects him to decline, but he ends up accepting. And it sounds like it's going to be a really interesting exploration of sex and being disabled. So I'm very interested to see what this is like. And just this cover is so beautiful. This is quite the short book, so it's one I'm hoping I can get to very soon as well, because it just sounds so interesting. But those are all of the translated books I have. I do really want to branch out and read a lot more translated fiction from other languages, mostly outside of Asia, but especially in Asia as well. Like, I'd love to read some more Vietnamese fiction, or Malaysian or Filipino or Chinese as well. So if you've got recommendations for there, or even ones from other like Scandinavian and European languages, I would just love to explore more of that. So please let me know if you have recommendations, because I am always adding to my list of translated fiction. But I hope you enjoyed this video and hopefully found some new books to check out from this list. I definitely need to branch out and find some more, so I might go hunting soon for some more obscure titles. A lot of these are some of my favorites. There's a few I'm also really excited and looking forward to rereading and getting more from them. And then of course those 4 that are on my TBR, I really cannot wait to read them. But I will see you all with a new video next time. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye.